If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, hello everyone, welcome back to another review. My name is Matthew, and today we're taking a look at a figure that in a million years I never thought I'd either own nor review on this channel, yet here it is making its debut on the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bandai Tamashii Nation's SH MonsterArts SpaceGodzilla Fukuoka Final Battle, Decisive Battle, whatever version. It is the final battle of the film that takes place in Fukuoka. I think that's how you say the name. Again, I'm not very good with Japanese names for cities and such because, well, I'm obviously not Japanese speaking. But this is going to be the SpaceGodzilla figure that is based on the final battle of the SpaceGodzilla movie. Which, to actually talk about the figure and how I acquired it, funny little story. See, I consider somewhat myself of I like to call eating the scraps of other collectors type MonsterArts collector. See, I've gotten my fair share of MonsterArts figures, but a large majority of them are from secondhand markets. See, I got the Ghidorah, the 2002 Godzilla, 2019 Godzilla, Ultima, and I also got a mechagodzilla as well from all the secondhand market. And then enter this guy, which I kind of caught wind of, and I had the money. You know, it was like perfect timing. I had the money at the time, wanted to make sure it was good, so I looked at the images, and yeah, it was at least good enough to where I'd want it. And I had money, so I pretty much reached out to the seller, make arrangements, and I got it. So with that said, I would like to make everyone aware that this is a used figure. This is not a mint in the box figure. This has definitely been used, as you'll see, as their spoilers are a little bit of paint chips from here and there, but for the most part is pretty much in pristine condition. And again, like I made mention, this is not going to be my first SH MonsterArts figure, but definitely not going to be my last because I am eyeing another one. So with that being said, let's take a look at if the crystallized king himself really is warranty into my collection, which funny enough, I don't actually have my collection with me. I'm actually at a family member's house, so I can't really record the collection. I'm very limited as to what I have. So I'm actually filming this a few days before the Shin Godzilla bootleg review from NECA, but I actually can't post this until July because of how much reviews I've already done of the NECA Godzillas, plus all the other videos I currently have backlogged. So hey, July audience, you're watching this now. Let's take a look at this guy, huh? So overall, for sculpt and paint, we're going to take a look at the head. And I should make mention that this is the third time, I believe, that SpaceGodzilla has been used in the MonsterArts line. There was the original that had the Corona beam in the base, and there was also the one with the set with Little Godzilla. This is going to be the third one, and I can tell it's that because of a very certain aspect of the figure that you're going to see. Anyway, for the mold, it's actually still pretty damn sweet. I love the look at the face. The eyes are really well done and really capture what was on the actual design within the film. We have a lot of nice detailing for the eyes, which are going to be decals. We have a solid black pupil with some really nice orange and reddish detailing on the iris. And we do have a bit of white on the eyeball. So actually no, that's more of a tinted yellow, but it still looks really nice nonetheless. We have a very nice colorization on the actual body to start. For the actual coloring, it's kind of a dark navy blue mixed in with a bit of more darker dry brushing to give it a bit more of a nice detailed effect. Mine's got a bit of orange axis paint, which is funny because this figure doesn't actually use a whole lot of orange paint, but what it does use is a lot of white. And you're gonna actually kind of see, I think I popped the head off, but that's okay. The teeth are going to be really well painted and really well sculpted. They're individually sculpted with the paint being somewhat, I guess, let's actually just pop off the head just to show you. it's going to be very well done. We have the outer row of teeth with the top row and bottom row. It's a little moving my thumb to the side. We actually have a bit of like purple accents for like the base, which does a really nice job of like transitioning thing, as well as we also have a sculpted in tongue with the top of the mouth as well in there, and some sculpted in membranes, which are pretty well impressively done. We also have the bottom row, sorry, the bottom part of the jaw, and I think what's also worth mentioning is going to be this very cool crystal. Like, this thing looks cool as hell. I honestly think that the crystal is one of SpaceGodzilla's like most defining features. Like, this in translucent yellow plastic is just beautiful. I love the way this thing was done. The first time I got this guy, I was so impressed by the quality. It's very sharp too, so definitely don't let little ones have this. Not that you would, it's an adult collectible. If you want like a kid's toy SpaceGodzilla, just buy him a Bandai vinyl or the Playmates figure if you find it for like decent resale value. Because sadly, that figure is now out of commission. So, popping the head off again like a total idiot. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem on mine. It's not a fault of the sellers. Like a total idiot, I decided to see how far the thing could actually look up, and I ended up popping it off as a result. So that's my fault and not the sellers. Anyway, for the spines, we have two sharp points up here, and then it kind of leads into the spines, which are going to lead into the crystal fins. So with that said, all of them are painted pretty basically. They're not like overly well done. They're pretty much fine enough, especially given the size of this thing. Keep in mind, a lot of these dorsal plates are pretty much smaller than your thumbnail. I think it's fair to say that MonsterArts did at least a fair job with these. But to actually like talk about the neck as well, we do get more like the folds, and you kind of, if you're wondering what that snoring is, it's actually a pug. So I hope you guys like pugs. But what's also worth pointing out is going to be the purple that is used from the chin, kind of like where it meets the neck, downward. And you're going to see that it actually has a really nice kind of purple finish, and it looks so cool. It looks almost like magenta a little bit, and it looks amazing. Usually I talk about the chest first, but let's talk about the shoulder crystals. I mean, how the hell did MonsterArts actually make it look this good? We have frosted white tips that go from here to here with a gradation of pink with the blue skin that's actually kind of peering above it, and then we have like red accents kind of underneath that. I think that's actually, I forget the actual design off memory. The head popped off once again, so you know, I'm actually going to keep it off, I don't care. The actual, I think that this could also like be blood as well. But yeah, it looks very bloody. I love the accents on it. And again, it just looks so cool and so well detailed. Going to the actual like stomach region, we do have a fair amount of detail here. All of it's glossed over and has like these purple highlights. You know what this kind of reminds me of? The Funko Pop Neon City Kong I have. You can actually go to the playlist and look up that review. Anyway, it looks really nice, and it just looks so juicy and flat out. I don't know why I said juicy. It looks so jam-packed with detail, like the little veins here as well. They kind of make up SpaceGodzilla's stomach region. And then, of course, we get to more like the crotch area, which, hey, buddy, if you're swollen that much up in your crotch region, you should probably hit up a doctor. Anyway, I think Dr. Jaguar would be able to help. Anyway, his arms, they look really nice, too, with kind of like going down to the actual hands in question. And they have a very nice spray of kind of like a gradient from the dark blue, kind of a black purple accent to the white tipped fingers, and they look really nice as well. Very impressive what they did here. Also, just to give one more look at the crystals, yeah, I got a little bit of like a little mark on mine. And for the actual legs, very thick, bulky, much like 90% of the Heisei suits were. Ironically enough, Ghidorah wasn't that bulky. Anywho, This thing as well is going to be jam-packed with detail as far as the knees go, because here we get a little bit more basic detail as far as the scaling goes. Here for the knees, they actually have like this little circular bulge. You know what it kind of looks like? Like a crusted up eyeball. How cool would that be? It'd be cursed and trippy as hell, but it would make one cool design feature. Maybe that was the whole point. Anyway, so yeah, going down a bit more, kind of looks more like rocky detail, and then we have the basic scarring. And then here we have the four-toe feet. Minor scuffage on this one, but has really well kind of like transitioned detail on this foot. Transitioning the whole thing over because I am limited with review space. Again, we have a bit of a minor scuff there. Copyright trademark Toho Company Limited. And of course the clawed feet as well. And let's talk about the dorsal plates. Might as well put the head back on because it's going to look weird without it. Anyway, for the actual crystals, the dorsal plates, the dorsal crystals, the crystal plates, whatever the name is, terminology, you're going to notice that some of them are pink. For you general viewers wondering, why are they pink? Well, in the film, SpaceGodzilla will flicker his dorsal plates different colors in the same way that Godzilla lights up his plates blue. The difference with SpaceGodzilla and Godzilla himself in the movie is that Godzilla would light them all at the same time. SpaceGodzilla will kind of do that, but in some instances, like here, he does like some of them, almost like a light show. Like some of them do, some of them don't, which is why some of them are white, some of them are pink. And as you can see, the pink fins really steal the show here. Because we have this fin here, this fin back here, which I can kind of capture on camera a bit, and then these three fins over here, plus this one, this big one, and this one, and I believe this one right there, in between these two white fins, are all going to be translucent. Same thing goes for these more smaller fins, but our attention is mainly made towards these bigger fins. And what's kind of cool is that because they're more crystallized, they don't take up as much space as, say, Godzilla's back does, so it looks a bit less cluttered. That said, I still think that it just looks absolutely nuts with the amount of crystallization that SpaceGodzilla has. Okay, fine. You want to stay off? Fine. And just look at the fins. I mean, I will say as well, as you kind of get down when it's smaller, they do become a little less presentable as they're mostly painted. I mean, it's not a fault of Bandai's. They can't really just make them all translucent. But come on, look at the paint here. Half of this is pink and it just looks a little sloppy. Okay, that's a little gripe I have with the actual, like, way it was made. It looks a little sloppy. There's really, like, no shading or gradations or anything like that. But going down here to the, like, actual tip of the tail, where you do get the crystallized base, you do get a bit of, like, very cool crystal tip. It kind of looks like Scar King's whip, in a sense. I know this is like way before Scar King, but that's really what it reminds me of now that I'm looking at it. Or actually, I should be saying Scar King's whip reminds me of SpaceGodzilla's tail tip. Anyway, so we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 prongs. Actually, no, wait, that's 7. Sorry, my apologies. That's 7 because you have 5 back here, 6 and 7. And for one more look at the dorsal plates, it's actually like all of them are splitting into 2. And then when it does split away, out comes a third row. So really, it follows a bit of like a weird growing system. And then here's 5, and then it just goes to complete madness. So, just for one final look at the bottom of the tail. Look, oh yeah, there's a bit of a weird color transition there. I don't recall if that was on the actual suit. Again, it's been a while since I watched versus SpaceGodzilla. I'll have to do it when I'm actually eventually doing my Godzilla-thon, like the newer version, not the 2016 or 2017 iterations of the series. But, I guess just for one final look at the sculpted paint, here's this side of the figure. Underneath, from above, from the front, and kind of get it as much into frame as I possibly can. and of course this side. So, for the sculpt and paint, I hate that friggin' head joint. I'm gonna have to like do some nail polish trick or something, because that is really pissing me off. Seriously? Hey, thank you. So, for the sculpt and paint, for one of MonsterArts, technically speaking, I know this is like remolded and there's a bit of remolding done to it, but for what's effectively almost the same sculpt that was used in, I believe, 2012? I could be wrong. Whatever, it's like one of the first MonsterArts figures. This sculpt is killer. I love this sculpt. It's not only accurate, but it really shows off a lot of different, like, more, I guess, would you'd say, warmer colors or colder color, because you have blues, purples, and pinks, but you also have a little bit of, like, reds and yellows. That said, I think that my favorite part about this figure is actually going to be the crystals. I love the crystals, specifically the backplate crystals. These shoulder crystals are definitely really cool, but I don't know, something about the back crystals just appeals to me. That said, if I had any negatives, well, again, it's just the figure itself. I would honestly say that I'd personally say the way that the other plates on the tail are painted, not very good. And in hindsight, while one could say that's kind of a nitpick, I think it's kind of a glaring issue when you have such beautifully sculpted and well done dorsal plates, and then you have these a bit more like sloppily done dorsal plates that are more prone to like paint chippage. So if there is a negative, I would say that. And really, I feel like that's, again, in hindsight, kind of it. I love everything else about this. So, again, is it perfect? No figure is. But honestly, I'm going to say it 9 out of 10 already for the sculpt and paint. Next up, articulation. And I got to be careful for obvious reasons. For the jaw, we can open about, of course, I say I'm going to be careful, and then I immediately do the one thing that I'm trying to be very careful at being. The jaw can open, stop popping off on me, thank you, about comfortably that far. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Jaw can open up about this much, and can close about that much. It does have a slight wiggle, because it is on a ball peg, technically, but for all intents and purposes, it has a hinge joint-like movement. And as you probably saw by this stupid head, we actually have a ball joint, which, let's actually do a quick jump cut here. Unplugging both the head and neck piece, we actually have a barbell style ball joint, or at least something like it. See, it's kind of funky the way this works. See, this is where the net head meets the neck. This little cup area, and this ball peg is supposed to be where this head socket fits on. So effectively, you would be able to get a fair amount of range with the head actually turned on. Now I'm kind of realizing why it's constantly popping off, because it won't wrap in all the way anymore. Maybe that part was my fault, but it's genuinely whatever. Anyway, with that fruit fly freaking in my way, now dead, this basically kind of does a similar thing with the NECA 1994 Godzilla, where even though that figure came after this, by chronological speaking, it had a ball peg that ran through the neck, and right to the shoulders where it meets the neck was another ball joint, so it was like one big peg, and essentially the neck acted as a sleeve. They did something similar for the MonsterArts figure, except there's a ball joint, like a barbell ball joint, right in the middle between the two. So I feel like in some way that actually would have helped NECA with their Godzilla. But I mean, that was like, what, years and years and years ago? And it's 2025, and I'm really hoping they pick up back the license one day. You could tell I'm still missing them. Anyway, to put it all together, which I actually was trying to see how far the neck could actually extend. I didn't actually know that the neck was a separate piece just covering a larger hole, but hey, now I know the hard way. So if you're like me, don't force the joint, because you are going to have a very, very loose joint and a very, very bad time. Cue the Megalovania song with the blue eye. If you know, you know. Anyway, for the shoulders, which actually do have some articulation, I feel like here could have used some articulation, but for the bicep, technically where it meets the shoulder, we can go up, down, and forward and back a bit. Not too much, but it is a decent amount. But we actually have a little like free floating piece, which I was not expecting this. There's actually a little piece you can actually kind of cover down to bridge the gap, because if you bend it like this to come back down, it's going to leave somewhat of a bit of a gap. So to cover it, boom. Anyway, moving on, we have a double hinged elbow, which can rotate a bit. A ball jointed wrist, which this one doesn't really do anything on mine. This one kind of rotates a bit. Ab crunch, where we can rotate its head. I'm genuinely sick and tired of this friggin' head. I want to make sure there's no like scuffs or chips. Anyway, I'm gonna move this back here. Anyway, this waist can go side to side, back and forth. There's actually two ball joints here and here, so you can get a little bit of range. Nothing like too crazy, but there's actually quite a bit of range. Let's actually move this whole thing back. I don't know why I hadn't think of this sooner, but my hand can actually go all the way back here. Anyway, for the legs, this leg, MonsterArts half cooked. I'm going to say why half cooked. This leg, beautiful. They can actually kick all the way up back here. And if you want to bring it around, you can actually do that like this. It's almost a full 360. I'm kind of scared to go a little beyond that, because it has the possibility of like scraping up against the sculpt, but effectively you can also get like a pretty damn good like in and out motion. So pretty much speaking, this is very similar to that of the 94 NECA. That said, I say half cooked because this leg doesn't really like to do anything. It does a little bit back and forth, barely out to the side, but it has a very nice double hinged knee, a bit of a calf joint, and a ball joint here for the foot itself. As for this leg, doesn't really do a whole lot with the knee. This, I feel like this part is kind of frozen, or maybe it was broken and the previous seller just glued it. But ball joint at the leg, of course, sort of foot, and a series of ball joints here throughout the tail. There are going to be like the free floating pieces to help him bridge the gap. So there's one free floating piece, two, I think there was a third. There we go, number 3, number 4, and yeah, there's just number 5, I guess. I doubt that's all of them, but there you go. You go up, down, to the left, to the right, and overall the posability, I'll admit on some parts it's a bit limiting, and the freaking head, the head is my fault. I should not have tried to test out the head. But that said, it can still stay on depending on how you have it posed. But in all honesty, how do I feel about articulation? The articulation is nice. Actually really good. I like it a lot. SpaceGodzilla was never a monster that was like doing all these kicks and flips and was never really meant to. Evolved Godzilla, cough, cough. Anyway, yeah, so SpaceGodzilla is definitely going to be a bit more articulated by technicality than he's supposed to be. Like, his head can get into some decent poses, but I guess it's just because the way it's designed isn't necessarily optimal for things like looking straight up or straight down. Jaw is pretty much serviceable. Arms are pretty good, actually. Spitting, again, I don't know what's with me and spitting. I do like the inclusion of this kind of like shoulder flap a bit. And the arms do what they're supposed to do. Wrists are a little limiting, however, so that's a bit disappointing. The waist is very well done. Very nice little fluid. Not like a huge rotation, but you do get a fair amount of up and down, plus a little side to side. So that I do like. This leg, amazing. Well, this hip is amazing. The knee is a bit iffy, but the feet, feet practically perfect. This leg, the hip, not a zilch. Knee, pretty damn good. Feet, pretty damn good. So I feel like if they were to put this knee on this knee as well, and this hip on this hip as well, the leg articulation would literally be unmatched. Try beating that with your freaking 100 freaking dollar plus figures, Super 7. Actually, I don't think they're that expensive. I think they're like 70, 80. I don't know. I don't buy Super 7 products, and there's a reason I don't. Anyway, as for the tail, long, prehensile. It's a little loose, again, just because it's pre-owned. I don't know if the original's like that, or well, the, like, out-of-box is like that, and I'll probably never know. But that said, for articulation, it's pretty serviceable. I like what we have. I will say that the legs are definitely, well, the imbalance of the leg articulation is going to be a bit of a problem, and I don't really like how limiting this wrist is. Well, I guess both wrists. This one you can kind of get a mild rotation out of, but it's still going to be decently limited. And this one is, I might as well just glue the frickin' thing and it'll stay there. Anyway, for articulation, I think I've rambled enough. I'm going to give it actually a 7.5. Let's actually bump that up to an 8. Yeah, 8 out of 10. I feel like that's fair. Next up is accessories, and this is going to be a bit of a disappointing news report, and definitely something that's a bit of a caveat from buying from secondhand sellers, is that unfortunately this guy does not come with any of this guy did not come with any of his accessories, but we're still going to talk about them, so let's go ahead and talk about them. That's my pug in the background once again. She just woke up, so definitely be kind to her. So, for the reason why this thing doesn't have any accessories, again, secondhand seller, not the fault of the seller themselves. I'm not putting any shame onto the seller. They were really good, and I do love their service. And in case that they have any more collectibles like this, I'm 100% going to be buying from them again. That said, the figure accessories like that it did have originally, the crystal, it had like these energy crystal effects that were blue and like had electricity on them, and also came with alternate parts for the crystals, shoulder crystals, that were damaged. In the movie, I think it's Mogera who ends up blasting them off, or I think it was Godzilla. Again, it's been a while, but either way, Mogera or Godzilla blast the accessories off, and we can actually still demonstrate what it would look like had you actually been able to take it off. Not the head, that's the wrong body part. Thank you. We can actually still take off the crystals. Be very gentle. Which, if you're wondering, this is what it's going to look like. There's a little clear peg. And as for this crystal, this one's a bit tighter. I don't know why. There you go. There's actually a bit of like, just to kind of show, there's like a bit of purple crud, like inside the plastic. First I thought that was on it, but no, that's actually in it. Very interesting. Anyway, so this is what the other crystal looks like, mind you. So you'd get like an extra set of crystals to put on your SpaceGodzilla. So as far as like that goes, that would have looked pretty good. Kind of sad I don't own them, but at the same time, I knew what I was getting. I knew that what I wanted, and yeah, I think I walked away at least pretty happy with just the figure itself. Now, as far as like a Corona beam, I think the original one did come with a Corona beam. Is this the way to really put it? Yeah, it is. Anyway, the original SpaceGodzilla did come with a Corona beam plus the base, but at the same time, I don't know if the SpaceGodzilla figure with the little Godzilla also came with it. I know it had like its own set of energy beams from the solar crystals. It's just that they were brought back in a new way for this one. But as for the accessories, I do have, well, really nothing. I think they would have looked pretty cool. But considering the fact that I don't have them, unfortunately, I'm not able to really rate them. But that's what it would have come with. And for some size comparisons, the only size comparisons I can actually do right now, because I am home away from home, here is with my other Godzilla figures I currently have on my person, with the NECA Godzilla 2016 Shin Godzilla bootleg, and the NECA Godzilla 2014. And I feel like when it comes to being like head to head, shoulder to shoulder, very inflated shoulder to non-existent shoulder, I feel like it's very close as far as a general 6-inch figure display goes. It's very close. Is it in scale? No. Technically speaking, he should be taller than both of them because he's 108 meters, he's 118 meters. He's 120. That said, legendary. As I'm recording this, Godzilla Kong Supernova is 2 years away. If he's not the big bad, throughout all the hints we've gotten from the crew members that I looked up, I followed them. And literally, the binary translated it, Godzilla Kong, watch this space, loops back, SpaceGodzilla. Come on. You guys have one job. I wanted this guy to be in the Monsterverse or the big bad of the Monsterverse, next big bad, since the new Empire was first revealed. Then we got a limpy little ape. Make this guy his villain. Your move, legendary. And so overall, what do I think of this figure? He is another fine addition to my collection. Just gonna blow that right out of the window. His sculpt is beautiful. His paint is amazing. And his articulation is serviceable and great, where there is great range. His accessories would have been really cool, and his size is very impressive. And really stands in like a 6 to 6 inch shoulder. I just accidentally said 666. Sign of the beast. This is a beast. Anyway, as for my recommendations, I would honestly say find a deal like I did. I did have to pay a little bit on the more lower end of the spectrum, even though it was still like a pretty high price. But that said, I did pay the full amount that the seller was asking for, and I think I walked away a happy camper. That said, I really would only recommend this if, again, you can find a good price for this thing. SpaceGodzilla figures from MonsterArts come occasionally. This was the latest one from 2024, so maybe it's still out there. Maybe it still has some places in stock that are still having this thing. However, it's going to be this specific version. I do not expect them to have the SpaceGodzilla and Little Godzilla set, nor do I expect them to have the original. If you're looking to have a SpaceGodzilla figure in your collection, I would say that this is the one, honestly. Because the Super 7, take it or leave it. And as for the others, again, I don't own them, and I probably never will. But then again, there was a time where I thought I'd never buy any MonsterArts figures, yet here I have with 7 of them. Yeah, 7. So that said, for my final score, I'm going to rate this thing an 8.5 out of 10. A great addition to my ever-growing MonsterArts collection. And I potentially strangle that word with your life. Potentially. One more figure than mine from MonsterArts. You'll see very soon. Hoping it'll be a shot in the dark, but I think I can make it. But with that said, thank you guys for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, subscribe for my sleeping puppy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.